Hello, everybody. Okay, can you hear me now? If you can hear me, just signify that you can hear me. If I can be heard, please just unmute yourself. Okay. All right. Welcome to our cybersecurity event. We have a lot lined up for you. This event is titled Raising Cyber Warriors. And today we'll get to meet a lot of amazing individuals in the cybersecurity field. We get to learn from their experience, and if we have people here that want to become cybersecurity officers, they're looking for a path, and probably you've been confused in the past, you've tried different things, and you've been confused about your direction, this event should bring clarity to you. And also, okay, for in the course of the event, I also that the meeting is recorded, and we would be sending the recorded sessions to you. If you have questions, please just comment in the comment section in Zoom. Our viewers on YouTube, you can also comment in the comment section on the YouTube page. So yes, when you talk about cybersecurity, what do you actually know cybersecurity is? Well, cybersecurity is simply the protection of computers and system and network from information disclosure or theft or damage. Now, we all know that we are all always on the internet, right? Everybody is using the internet these days, and we've heard of hackers, we've heard of people accessing accounts online and all of that. And because so many businesses now, they have so much information that they cannot afford to get into the wrong hands. So we need a lot of cybersecurity officers to actually fix this problem. Are you following? So yes, so that's why we actually need to know about cybersecurity. Even though if we're not officers, at least there are little things that we need to know. There are little things that we need to understand about being safe online. So that's what this event is about. So welcome once again. It's really great to have you all here. And yes, so comments. So as we start, I would introduce our TechQuest's operations officer to come and talk about TechQuest. Yes. So Adeoluwa, Adeyemo coming in now to introduce TechQuest. This camera.
Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello, Adeoluwa. Good day. Welcome.
Okay, so I'll just bring up my screen now. Okay, please, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, so you're welcome to the Cyber Warrior Conference from TechQuest's Academy. We are glad to have you. I hope you have introduced yourself in the chat box. And please, if you want me to repeat, just let me know, and we can do that. So what I'm doing here today is I want to introduce you to TechQuest's Academy and what we do here at TechQuest. So my name is Adeoluwa. I'm the operations executive here at TechQuest's Academy, and it's so great to be on this platform. Okay, so I'll just run through my slide. So for the event schedule, we have some line items for us. We have our welcome address. We have about TechQuest, and then we have introduction of speakers. We have the panel sections. So today we have speakers. We have some speakers, and that will be with us for this section. And then we'll also, the main purpose of us having this conference is to launch our cybersecurity course. And then we will do that, and then we'll have the closing remarks. Okay, so who we are at TechQuest. I know we have been seeing TechQuest in our emails or in the communication outside. So TechQuest STEM Academy is a non-for-profit organization. We are a STEM organization that believe that every African should know how to operate a computer. We believe that everyone should be digital literacy, and this is what we do here at TechQuest. We founded the TechQuest STEM Academy was founded 2015, and so far over the years we've imparted 35,000 and still counting participants in Africa. So sorry about that. My internet went off. Okay, so that is what we hire at TechQuest. Then what we do at TechQuest. So we do some number of things here at TechQuest. We have content development. We have our program design. So what we mean by program design is we organize projects and then we can design your project for you. We can design it. We have learning assessment. We have monitoring and evaluation. We have community engagement. There is this app that we built for our community. We built it for everyone. It is called the Mission T STEM app. We can use it to learn any courses of your choice. On that app, we have 9 good courses on it, and then it was launched by TechQuest's Academy. You can go to your Google Play Store or your App Store to download the app. So these are the people we've imparted. These are the number of our beneficiary. This is our workshop, and then we are in 36 states. We have 77 partners, and then we have our good communities. Now, all our programs that are running presently, like I said earlier, that we are a STEM organization. So we have some programs that are running. We have the front end, we have the back end, we have the data analytics class. So our back end class is running presently. We started for like 2 to 3 weeks now. And then we have our data analytics class. We have the DAMPI. Our DAMPI is for digital marketing. And we have our collaborative tool, Summer Camp. Summer Camp is for the age between 6 to 16. And we have our ICE and cyber security. Now, all these courses are very affordable, and it's something that either of us can do. So if you are starting a career in tech, or you are in tech and then you want to upskill your skill, or you want to upskill, then you can register for all these courses. I'm going to put up the link in this slide, and one of my team members will put the link in the chat box. So if you are interested, we have a very good track record since 2015. You can check us, our website, we'll put it in the chat box also, and then you can check us out, and then you can also check the prices for all these courses. Now, this is our cybersecurity program. Now, if you look around Nigeria, you will see that cybersecurity analysts in Nigeria, they are not much, but they are any huge. Now, this is one of the analytics that we did on our cybersecurity program. Now, with TechQuest STEM Academy, we can give you what you desire in this your cybersecurity field. Now, we can help you to, we can even have, in part of our commitment is we have job placement, and we have some internship that you're going to do during our programs. They're not just for you to just come and learn and then you learn and go. We have lots of activities that you're going to engage in. We'll bring some career people in this field to talk to you. They will tell you what to expect in the world of work, and then they will help you hunger more. So this is what we do here at TechQuest. One of my colleagues will still talk more on the TechQuest cybersecurity for everyone. Now, for more information on all our courses, this is the link. It will be in the chat box. You can click this link and then you can see all our courses and then the prices that we have with it. All our courses are comprehensive enough. If you go through any of those courses, you are going to come out being satisfied in those courses. And these are our partners, because you will say, "Oh, okay, what if I learn and then the certificate is on?" No, we have a very good track record, like I said earlier. These are some of our partners that we've worked with over the years, and they're still counting. So if you have any question, you can put it in the chat box, or you can ask the host to unmute you, and then I can take the question. Thank you.
All right. Wow, that's wonderful. Thank you very much, Adeola. Yes, so we would be continuing with our program. We have our first speaker, Mr. Adeoluwa. Adeoluwa Ogunwale. He is a cybersecurity officer and he works in, okay. All right, so that's a very good session from Adeola. I hope we got a thing or two. And so we're going more in depth into the cybersecurity field, and we have a lot of seasoned speakers aligned for us to actually tell us more about their process, tell us how they got into the sector, their experiences so far, and how we who have interest in cybersecurity can actually find this path and also access and also become cybersecurity officers and be of help to um, our our companies, organizations, because cybersecurity is really needed in every sector. So the first speaker we have here is Mr. Adeoluwa Ogunwale. I will just give a brief description, introduction before he comes to talk. So Mr. Adeoluwa Ogunwale is an experienced, informed cybersecurity audit control and risk professional with over 15 years experience in information systems audit, control risk, information, cybersecurity, GRC across several industries such as banking, pension, insurance, financial, switching, and telecommunications company. He is vast in information security assessment and audit information security management and monitoring governance, enterprise IT risk, and cybersecurity. He holds a degree in computer science and mathematics, master's in business administration, and several certifications, including CI, CISO, CEH, CDPSE, CISA, ISO. Okay, so those are a lot of certifications that Mr. Adeoluwa has. So yes, so those of you that also have interest in going cybersecurity, you also get to know the kind of certifications that you need to become professionals in your world. So welcome Mr. Adeoluwa now to have his session. Thank you. So Mr. Adeoluwa, can you unmute yourself and all right. So Mr. Adeoluwa, you have the floor now.
Okay, good day, everyone. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I'll be putting on my video shortly. Okay, can you see me now?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay, good day, everyone. Thank you, TechQuest, for having me on this session. I'll be talking about my experience so far in the cybersecurity space. It's been a very interesting and quite an engaging journey thus far. To start with, I started my professional career in computer science, basically, wherein I proceeded to. Over time, I realized that if I should, let's say, face one aspect of computer science, let's say network, after discovering and learning a lot about network, I got introduced into operating system. And getting into operating system, it was quite interesting. I also experienced database. It was quite interesting. So that was how I started exploring and exploring. So to start with, I must say that for you to have a very wonderful time in cybersecurity, you must have a ravenous craving, ravenous appetite for knowledge and to understand a lot about the cybersecurity space, information technology space at large. So, because that space is always evolving, it's ever evolving. And for one to catch up with that space, you need to be on top of the game. You need to understand emerging trends in each space that one wants to function in. So I'll start by giving us a little bit of understanding into what is going on in the cyberspace in this current age and time. I can remember seeing a particular statistics some years back. Was it last year or 2 years ago? About the demand for cybersecurity in this current age and time. Something posted by World Economic Forum, that cybersecurity is the third, or the change in working culture is the third concern for global establishment as a date. Because of that, organizations are now working towards equipping themselves and ensuring that cybersecurity concerns are properly addressed. Aside that, there's also a specific statistics from Acronis, if I'm not mistaken, that talks about cybersecurity being the third biggest economy in the world as a date. If cybersecurity is the third biggest economy, third to United States, third to China, and cybersecurity crime, should I say, third biggest economy. If cybersecurity crime is now the third concern, is third biggest economy in the world, that means likes of crime pertaining to human trafficking, drug trafficking is not as profitable as cybercrime. So for this cybercrime to thrive and get to the third position in the world economy, that means in no time, if care is not taken, and the projection is that within the next 2, 3 years, 4 years, it could overtake the biggest economy in the world, as it may be. So there is need for organizations to equip themselves to get ready for the crime rates that we are seeing in this current time as it pertains to cybersecurity. That's why the likes of you and I will become ever more important for organizations. And even at that, even for our personal space, it's also important for us to be cyber conscious and to move into the cyberspace in the real sense of it. So I'll be talking about some of the things that if somebody wants to start a career in cyberspace, in my own space, I started in the computer science space. Then from computer science, I went to network, Cisco certified network associate, Oracle certified associate and engineer, then Red Hat certified engineering training. I went through all this training to gain understanding, acquire more knowledge. After which I started my career in the IT audit space, IT control, IT risk. Then from there, I progressed into into cybersecurity, auditing the cybersecurity professionals in the establishment that I worked for. Then I now moved into that space in the real sense of it. And I continued acquiring knowledge by participating in several certification, several training programs to upskill myself and to develop my competence and skill in cybersecurity space. So there are different aspects, there are different areas in cybersecurity that someone could want to acquire knowledge in. But the basic foundation, there's a common adage that says that it is a thief that knows how to trace another thief's footstep on the rock. So for you to be able to function fully well in cyberspace, you need to understand the fundamentals, the foundation. And what's the foundation? Cybersecurity is really security of IT into cyberspace. So do you really understand IT? So someone needs to first develop his or her competence in IT to some extent, have a good understanding of different aspects of IT. And what are these aspects you are referring to? Is it networking? Is it web application? Is it cloud environment? Is it development operations? Before you now look at DevOps, that's what it's called, development operations, or you now look into the DevSecOps. So you need to understand this basic foundation before you now look at the security of this aspect. Is it operating system? So these are the areas, so many areas that one needs to develop competency in before you now start looking at the, what's it called, the cybersecurity of these areas. So I've mentioned the likes of operating systems. So you have the likes of Linux. Do you understand Linux commands? If you understand Linux commands to some extent, you realize over time that there are some areas in Linux that are very important. An instance is a folder directly called etc shadow or etc password. So you understand these areas, how to understand directories that are quite important. The temp folder, can you load a malware or virus into a temp folder or /opt folder or /bin? So where are all the logs stored in the Linux command? So if you don't understand Linux, when you are taking the course in security of Linux or how you can perform malicious activity or hacking a Linux system, when some things are mentioned, it will be great to the person. So you need to first have a foundation in Linux environment. So do you have understanding of common Linux command, a listing directory, copying folders, viewing contents, reducing the contents, SSH, switching privilege from a lower privilege to higher privilege? So these understandings are quite important. Do you have understanding of internet and networking? So there are some basic certifications that could launch one into this understanding. The internet is now becoming a global village where you could Google things and you could get resources freely on YouTube. But the fact remains that you'll be using your data to get this information. It might be free, but you still use your data to learn. You understand? There are some other platforms that could launch you into this aspect of cybersecurity at a very rapid rate. So you Googling such information goes a long way in helping and fast-tracking one's development into the cybersecurity space. So I'll just mention some general guidelines that one would require to start up in the cybersecurity space. One should always ask questions. You having somebody that is already in the space, it makes your movement and trajectory in the cybersecurity space faster and quicker. Instead of you going through the jungle yourself, some other individuals have already set the pathway. You understanding and relating with them goes a long way. Then there are different newsletters and communities you can join. You could Google some communities online. TechQuest is a very good platform for you to launch your movement in the cybersecurity space as it were. So you could join communities like TechQuest, subscribe to newsletters from TechQuest. That's how the information gets to stick to you. Then don't hesitate to pay some amounts to get certified and to learn the best information that you need to learn. So the certification programs from TechQuest, you could also engage in it, pay a little amount. Also be humble. So sometimes that when you learn something up to a point, you get to some roadblock. Be humble to ask questions. That come, excuse me, have you done this? By rubbing off on each other, do you get to learn more in the cybersecurity space? Do not look for shortcuts. Don't look for fast corners in learning things, because when you get to a point where you hit a roadblock, the knowledge that you dump in the shortcuts, you'll have to go and pick it up and relearn before you can cross the roadblock. Then get your hands dirty, basically. You need to set up lab. You need to invest in, let's say, a lab environment where you can work. Have a high-end system where you can set up your lab, virtual machines that you could configure free and what have you, but you still have to basically. That will bring about, let me just run into this point. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you, sir.
Okay. I don't know if you have any comments or if other facilitators want to add one or two comments at this time. Other panelists, should I say?
They will ask questions later. So they have their
Okay.
own slot. So yes.
Okay.
So we can just move on and ask questions at the end of your session.
So I think I'm done with my slots. Or do I have more time? I have some other things I could want to add.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Come back to you.
Okay, thank you
All
very
right.
much.
So thank you, Mr. Adeol. That's a lot. Like we just summarized your whole learning process in us in a brief. So don't worry, on in the program will outline the exact steps you actually need to take to now have or to be a perfect or full cybersecurity officer. All right, we have other speakers here. We're having a panel session. I would introduce them, and after the introduction, I'll give them the floor. And all right, so and they'll take you through their journey. And so if you have questions, please just put your questions down in the comment section. Thank you. So
Hi, Mano. We can't hear you.
can you hear me? No.
Yes,
All
I can
right.
hear you.
Okay, so moving on, I said we're going to introduce our next speaker. We're having a panel session. I'm going to introduce the speakers that are going to be in that panel session. We have Mr. Adesegun Adeyemo here now with us. So Mr. Adesegun Adeyemo is a results-oriented information and cybersecurity manager with over 15 years of experience as a support engineer, control and network engineer, control and IT system security analyst, cybersecurity specialist, and cybersecurity risk manager, who is dedicated to providing strategic and operational solutions to complex and uniquely challenging technology problems. He has led a team of planned cybersecurity engineers across Asia Pacific implementing security solutions such as AV Central, IEM, asset management, log management, intrusion detection, security monitoring, vulnerability and patch management, and processes such as security governance, change and incident management, and customer power plants. I know there's a lot of terminologies that we may not understand, but that's why Mr. Adeyemo is here to actually break down these things and aid the understanding of what the cybersecurity is actually about. So yes, so welcome, Mr. Adesegun Adeyemo. Yes, so you're part of our panel session. So we have another of our speaker, Mrs. Irene Odili. So Mrs. Irene Odili started her career in networking as a network and security design professional and solutions architect in Layer 3 Limited, where she helped build and design several network services, enterprises, and service provider networks, wireless networks, network security solutions, mobility solutions. Wow. Using solutions from several organizations such as Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Pulse Secure, Juniper, F5, Blue Coat. That's a lot of terminologies. So after which she moved on to Westcon, which is an IT solution distribution company, where she worked as a pre-sales engineer focused on building and designing security solutions around technologies such as Palo Alto, Checkpoint, Trendo Micro, and F5. So welcome Mr. Segun Adeyemo and Mrs. Irene Odili to our panel session. I know I've read their profile and you are hearing a lot of terminologies going on and you're like, oh, what are they talking about? Or what is this? That is why they are here to simplify these things. So that's why you stay onto the session. Okay, so Mrs. Odili, if you're here now, can you just unmute yourself and say hello? Or Mr. Adesegun. Mr. Adesegun, Ms. Odili, can you hear me?
Yes, you just gave us control. You just gave me control of to unmute.
Okay. Ms. Odili. Okay, we can't hear you. Can unmute yourself. Can see you're trying to speak. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, we can hear you now.
All right.
All right. Welcome, welcome. It's really great having you here. Welcome. Okay, so we're going to be having a panel session. I'm going to be asking a certain question, and I would really appreciate your answer. So we have an audience that they have interest in moving into the cybersecurity field, and they actually want clarity on how they should go about getting into that field, what the field is about, what kind of certifications should they look out to, different things as such. So before I commence, I would like you to just briefly introduce you. I've already read your introduction, but we want to hear from your own mouth. So Ms. Irene Odili, can you just give us a brief description of who you are?
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Irene Odili. I currently work as a solutions engineer for an organization called Acronis. Acronis is a cyber protection company. What we do is that we help organizations protect their data at rest or in transit. So that's what we do. So basically, he has read my profile, but just a brief summary. I started my life as an engineer. I read electrical and electronics in the university. Afterwards, I think immediately after graduation, before I moved to my NYC, I was fortunate to be able to do serve some internship period with Main One. I don't know how many of you are conversant with them. That's like the biggest broadband company in Nigeria right now. So I worked with Main One as an intern for about a year thereabout, and I was working with the transmission networks company, and really that basically opened my eyes to engineering. I knew that, okay, networking was what I wanted to do. I wanted to do engineering, I wanted to do IT, I wanted to do networking, and so that was it. So I went for my NYC. Afterwards, I came back, and then I got a job with Layer 3. Started off as a networks engineer, and then eventually migrated into security. So from then on, I moved to Westcon, like you said, pre-sales as a security engineer, and then currently to where I am at the moment. Thank you.
All right, that is amazing. Thank you so much, Mrs. Irene Odili. So, Mr. Adeyemo, can we hear from you too? Can you briefly introduce yourself?
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening, everyone. I want to say good evening to my former colleague, also Adeoluwa, that presented earlier. I started my career in IT from Diamond Bank. That was 2007. But prior to that, I did my first degree in Nigeria in computer engineering, and did my master's in Sweden in computer engineering before I started my career in Diamond Bank. Fortunately, my former boss, my former team lead, I don't know if he's here, Ifeanyi Muonagor, is one of the panelists today. Fortunately, he's here. So I did, yeah, over 5 years that I work in Diamond Bank. I worked in support, service desk, networking, different areas of IT other than application. And that opened my eyes to IT. One thing that I've always done in my life is quest for knowledge. And I don't see where I am at any point in time as the bus stop, so they say in Nigeria. So you must always be curious. You must always quest for a better place. That's always been my driving force. From Diamond Bank, I was fortunate. I applied for a role internationally with Siemens. I got the job in Denmark, and that was where I moved into control systems, cybersecurity. So I left the normal conventional IT are moved into those systems that generate power. So those ones are very, very critical systems. So in the cyber world, you have the CIA triad, which is make sure that whatever you are doing, make sure that you can achieve confidentiality, make sure that the integrity of the data is assured, and the third one is availability. When I was in Diamond Bank, it was C and I. Make sure customer data is secured. But on the flip side, in the power sector, is availability that is paramount. Make sure that the power plant doesn't go down. So that was a paradigm shift for me. I will leave the other things to discuss to later in the
All right.
in
Thank
the
you so much, Mr.
presentation.
Adesegun. Thank you for the introduction. Mr. Ifeanyi is presently available, and please, Mr. Ifeanyi, can you unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
All right. So, Mr. Ifeanyi, welcome. So yes, so one of our speakers just came in, Mr. Ifeanyi Muonagor. So I will just give his profile. So Mr. Ifeanyi is an IT and cybersecurity professional with over 15 years experience spanning roles in IT systems administration, network communications, and cybersecurity. He's a graduate of computer science. He holds various IT certifications such as IT Infrastructure Library, Cisco Certified Network Professional, Cisco Certified Design Associate, Certified Information System Security Professional, among many others. Mr. Ifeanyi has worked for top-tier financial institutions in Nigeria, including Trust Bank, which is now UBA, Diamond Bank PLC, and Access Bank PLC as IT networks and security administrator, designing and implementing secure computer networks. He is currently the head of cybersecurity operations at Central Bank of Nigeria. Mr. Ifeanyi has a passion for finding creative IT solutions to current business challenges and a keen interest in developing the next generation of cyber defenders. Wonderful. And this event is actually to introduce cybersecurity to the next generation of cyber warriors, he defenders. Well, Mr. Ifeanyi, welcome to our session. The other speakers have introduced themselves. Can you please kindly introduce yourself too?
All right, thank you very much, and sorry for my coming in a bit late. Actually, if I tell you where I am now, you wouldn't believe. I'm actually in a Zara shopping mall. You know, I just had to find a quiet space to join the meeting from. So thank you for having me. Thank you to all the TechQuest community. Thank you to my fellow panelists, Irene, and my colleague that likes to call me his boss, but who is more like my boss now. Shegun, it's good to have all of you here. So the journey has been, okay, and Adeoluwa too. Yes, I listened a bit to your presentation earlier, very interesting. I wish I could have heard a lot more. So for me, the journey into cybersecurity has been quite accidental, and I went into IT. It was actually the trend early in the 2000s. Luckily, I came out from computer science, a degree. So over time, you know, we saw that the trend was moving towards cybersecurity. So we all had to start looking into that direction. So earlier on, we did all manner of IT work, IT support, system engineering, system administration, email, you know, Microsoft, networking. You know, I spent a long time in networking with Shegun. So at the turn of the 2010s and so on, when security became a big deal, we all had to look into that. You know, so it's been a bit, I wouldn't say it's been a bed of roses, but it's been interesting. And anybody that wishes to ride that horse has a promise of a fun time. You know, so let me leave it at that until we go more into the questioning and answer session. Thank you.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much. We've had so we've heard from
Mr.
all our
Ifeanyi.
speakers. So we'll start with the panel session now. Mr. Adeoluwa, he's the first speaker, so you can join this panel session too. So my first question goes to all the speakers. I know you said a lot, but we actually want to highlight certain things so that people can actually learn and follow what you're saying. So the first question is, what made you decide to go into cybersecurity? Because you all said, some said they studied engineering, some computer science. So you could have actually gone into other fields, other sectors, other professional sectors. But why
Please,
cybersecurity? And
please
you have
unmute
1 minute to
Adeoluwa.
answer.
Adeoluwa is muted.
Okay, thank you. All right, so what made you decide to go into cybersecurity? Okay, let's start from what made you make that decision to go into cybersecurity, because you have different fields, you study different courses. Like I said before, some computer science, some engineering. So why cybersecurity? Mr. Adesegun, you like to tell us why cybersecurity, Mr. Adesegun?
Yeah, I came into cybersecurity at the time when my former company was hit by ransomware in Iran, and that was Siemens, and they had to fortify their team. They were scouting for people that were either into network security, application security, and fortunately for me, I had just done my CCNA security then. CCNA security wasn't common back then. You could do CCNP routing and switching. I just did CCNA security then. I was on my CCNP track. I just said, let me do this CCNA security. And I applied for the role and I got the job. And that was how I got into cybersecurity. So they were looking, I was just ready for an opportunity that came, and they took me and trained me. So that was my own story.
Thank you, Adesegun, for that. Please, do we have anybody that wants to answer that question? You can
Okay.
unmute yourself.
Yeah. So for me, at the time, I was working for an IT service provider organization. So basically, my job was and one of my roles within the organization was also product management and development. So one of my key roles was to look out for solutions that even organizations were not aware that they needed. So I had to do a lot of research. I was doing a lot of research. It was very imperative that I was researching into the future. Okay, what solutions can we give our customers? What do they not have now? That in the nearest future, we know that they're going to need, and that was basically how I stumbled into cybersecurity. I remember then, that must have been 2016. Yeah, it was 16. Cisco came out with one scholarship. It was the Cisco CyberOps scholarship, and we're just giving, that was when the certification just came out, and we're doing just 10,000 certifications that year. So I actually applied, and I was one of the few people in Nigeria that got onto the scholarship, the free education as well as the certification. And all of that just helped skyrocket me eventually into the cybersecurity field.
Okay, let me go next. In my own case, while having my career experiencing IT audit, IT control, I had some stint of security. Then security wasn't a major thing, but we're trying to add more value as at that time. Myself and my other teammates, then we were trying to add more value to audit. the com. That was when the team discovered tools like Nessus. That was when the team discovered tools like Bob Suit. You understand? Doing man-in-the-middle attack on applications developed back then in Diamond Bank. Then capturing packets, seeing that the communication between the application developed in-house to communicate with the core banking application wasn't that secure. That's teller profiles or username and password were being sent in plain text. That was when the passion got kindled in me. And as at that time, it was still a small hamper. After going through audit, virtually every aspect of what audit one could think about, I got to the bus stop where I was like, oh, I've explored virtually every aspect, to the point that I was now auditing individuals in the security space, the entire framework for cybersecurity in organizations. I was getting to that point. And I was like, come, what's the next thing for me? That was when I now launched into the cybersecurity space itself, having a taste of cybersecurity in the real sense, not just me reviewing, finding faults, implementing in the real sense of it. So that was what spawned my trajectory into the cybersecurity space. I don't know if Ifeanyi wants to add anything at this point. Ifeanyi is muted. Can you please unmute Ifeanyi? Ifeanyi is still muted.
All right, so working on that now.
All right, thank you. I've just been unmuted. Thank you very much. So it's pretty much the same for me somehow. At the point, it's about the trend. Sorry, I would have made my presentation earlier. It's usually about the trends, right? So when we graduated from school, you know, one of the things I tell any young person now who is trying to choose a career is I say, watch the trend. You know, look out for what is trending and what will be trending in the next few years. So when we got out of school and we came into the industry to look for jobs, it was all about IT, infrastructure, setup of computers, then networking, you know, started to catch on. So branches were springing up across Nigeria, getting connected. So everybody was getting into MCSC, Cisco networking, CCNA, and so on and so forth. So we all jumped into that moving train. Now, a few years down the line, about 2010, 11, 12, you know, most of us, we are getting tired of networking and, you know, the system administration thing. So it was now security beginning to trend. So that was how, when there was a job opportunity, you know, I had to just pick the security option. And from there, I had to quickly, like Shegu said, quickly develop the skills, you know, take some certifications, and I was ready for the role. So that was pretty much how I got into cybersecurity. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That's amazing. So Ifeanyi just briefed into my next question. So yeah, you know, we do a trend in tech and all of that. So my next question is, and okay, you all have experiences of more than 5 years. So my next question is, how has the cybersecurity industry changed in the past 5 years? And what do you think will happen in the next 5 years? Can you predict what will happen in the next 5 years? So I'll start with Mr. Adesegun. How has cybersecurity changed in the last 5 years? And what do you think will be the next trend? What do you think will change in the next 5 years? So Mr. Adesegun, you have the floor.
Yeah, I want to go back a bit, go back to the last 8 to 10 years and come forward in 5 years, multiple of 5 years. In the last 10 years, not many systems were interconnected as it is today. Now, even your mobile phone, you don't know, maybe somebody can ping your mobile phone from China. That was 10 years ago. So it was a semi-isolated environment. So what kind of attacks or what kind of breaches were we seeing? Mainly in-house, especially in the banks. Then maybe somebody stealing something, using someone else's credentials to log in, post some debits into people's accounts. But with interconnectivity, it became more of external with probably connivance with internal people. So the trend moved externally, and people started gaining knowledge about hacking, all this. And like I always tell people, there are always motivation behind any cyber breach. So is the person trying to steal money? Is this trying to make sure your service is down so that you have bad reputation? Or is it just a script kiddie, somebody sitting somewhere and just trying to fiddle with your network? So the motivation also is been moving from trying to gain money to trying to disrupt services. And now it's, as we are today, it is now what I can liken to kidnapping in Nigeria, which is the ransomware. So somebody holding you to ransom until you pay me so amount of money, I'm not going to release your system. Your system is encrypted. So in the next 5 years, because now ransomware has gone, some people are even doing ransomware as a service now. So there are some platforms you can go to and buy malicious software to be able to ransom somebody. So it is now like they call it dark web. It's a black market now where you can just go, and it's as cheap as $7, $8, which is like 3,000-4,000 naira. You can go there, buy it, and maybe I hate Adeoluwa, I would just put it on the system and just put a message, send 100,000 in Bitcoin to my account, and I will give you the decryption key. So that's what we are going to be seeing over time now. The last company I worked with, we were hit with a ransomware. Although we didn't pay the ransom, but it was a huge task for us to get our systems back up. So that's the trend, and that's going to be on for the next 5 years.
All right, thank you very much. Mrs. Irene, I'd like you to also answer this question because I feel you had a more like flexible career path in different sectors.
Okay.
Yeah, so how has it been? Okay.
Right. It has really changed a lot. I must say I've been different people or different persons at different points in my career, because of the changes that have had to happen. So I remember when I started as a network engineer, and then even with that networking, we were also, security was also embedded in it. So then we're worried about, our concern mostly was securing networks, that was basically it. Enterprise networks, service provider networks, just, okay, how do you ensure that your network is secured? Your data center is kept secured. Everything is within the perimeter. That's the phrase, But then we started seeing cloud. We started saying BYOD, bring your devices, where people can bring their mobile devices to the office and connect to the organization's network. So even as IT administrators, the concern now grew from, okay, yes, I have secured the devices, the endpoints I know within my organization. These guys that are coming from outside, bringing their mobile devices and their personal devices into the organizations, how can I control them to ensure that they do not infect my already secured network, And then it grew and grew, and then we started seeing the need for automation. As the network grew, it was difficult to manage large networks. So automation was really very important in the sense that there was now the need for organizations to begin to look at how do we automate and orchestrate processes, most especially in the SOC, right? So that our guys don't burn out. And one of the things that led to was that IT engineers, network engineers, security engineers had to learn programming because the automation tools that were now available needed for you to know some sort of programming language. You either had to know how to do Python or Java and all the rest. And then, of course, there's now virtualization came in with the VMware people. And then while VMware was making waves, network engineers started thinking, how do we now virtualize our own network? How do we do the same thing that is being done on servers with the routers and the switches? How can we take out that interface? I'm trying not to get too technical here, because I know some of our audience are not technical enough. So that's where software-defined networking now came in. So, and all of these things, as these trends happen, as these things are happening, there is the need to have security incorporated into all of these trends. As the trends are going, and then of course, cloud then came. Everybody's going to the cloud. How do I secure my cloud? And right now, cloud security is one of the biggest things. If you can put yourself together. In fact, that was one of the things that gave me the job I'm currently at. I saw that trend and I said, okay, yes, I'm already good as a network engineer, but cloud is the next big thing. People have been shouting cloud for like almost 3-4 years now. In Nigeria, we've not even started scratching the surface on cloud. How do I prepare for that time? And then I started preparing myself as a cloud engineer. Unfortunately, before I could offer that service to a Nigerian company, an international company came and, said, oh, we see that you have what we want, and we want somebody here in Nigeria, because they were actually building a cloud data center here in Nigeria. So they needed somebody that had cloud security experience or knowledge, more or less, because I'm just getting the experience now, really. But at least I have the knowledge. So that was how I got into where I am. So like I said, cloud security for me is the thing now. Looking into the future, there's still going to be so much talk about orchestration and automation. It still is. And when I advise people, I tell them, see, it's not enough for you to just be an IT engineer. There are so many skills now. Now we're talking Kubernetes, we're talking serverless, we're talking containerization. So even as an IT engineer, just knowing routing, switching, security, it's not enough. There are now skills that you must have to raise, to add value to yourself. So we're definitely going to continue to see that. I'm also looking at a future where even security will be offered as a service, as a cloud service. So where you can, what I mean in this case is that your normal SaaS, software as a service, we'll begin to see that kind of offering with security solutions. And the real idea behind that is that organizations don't like to buy, most organizations want to take up that CapEx burden from them, having to worry about buying devices, looking for who to manage it and all the rest. If I can take all of that, all of my security burden, just the way I can take my entire network infrastructure and give it to Amazon, right, to look after, put my data up there in the cloud. Why can't I give my security worries, to an organization too like that? So security as a service is something that I strongly believe that in the next 5 years would be the in thing. Most organizations will have to outsource their security, functions to much more equipped and experienced organization. And the main reason is this. See, cyber attackers are becoming sophisticated. In fact, the good guys, most of the time, are playing catch up. That's the truth of the matter. The bad guys, every day, they are innovative, they are becoming much more sophisticated. And so it's even becoming difficult, before, now we're talking ransomware. Before you know it, another technology is out. Like almost every 6 months, there is a new type of attack, that comes out. So the best way for most organizations is to do it. I'm buying them. If you look at the spare, more or less, of security solutions we have, if you go to most organizations, the minimum you can get is maybe 5 or 6. So you're buying firewall, you're buying your application security, you're buying this, you're buying that, different solutions, and all of that brings in complexity. You worry about who's going to manage them, who's going to look after them, and all the rest. So why don't I just take all that problem, all that burden, give it to somebody else? So that's why I strongly believe that in the nearest future, cloud security would be the big thing. And the biggest part of the cloud security would be the fact that security would now be sold as a service. Thank you very much.
That's no, thank you so much, Ms. Irene. You really expanded and broadened our minds about what the future holds. So we can see that from what she said, or what Ms. Irene and other traditional said, we can see that cybersecurity is not phasing out anytime soon. It's always relevant, always be relevant. So, Mr. Ifeanyi, my next question goes to you. So, for people that want to start out and they have no IT knowledge, do you think they can actually move into a path in cybersecurity? Because from this conversation, we can see there's a lot of technicality into it, like hacking and things like that. Now, if yes, if they can actually move into that sector, how can they? Can you kind of highlight the steps they would take to actually become cybersecurity officer? They do not have any knowledge at all, no background knowledge of anything IT. Maybe they're from a social science background and they just have this flair of cybersecurity now. They want to move into that sector. Can they do that? And if they can you highlight the steps on how they can actually go about it? Thank you. Did you hear me?
Yes, I heard you. Thank you.
Okay.
I wish I was able to make my presentation earlier. Would I still be able to make it, or hello?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I was asking Emmanuel, is it possible that I will still make the presentation afterwards? Or
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, you can.
okay, okay. But even at that, I still heard Adeoluwa talk about how one goes into the field of cybersecurity, and basically it's first of all knowing what you're protecting, what you're coming to protect. So I have a nephew that is still in school, and he told me he would like to go into cybersecurity. And I told him, no, why don't you start with application development, networking, system administration? Because the more you know about the networks you're securing, the protocols they use, the processes that bring about the network services, the more you know about applications, how coding is done, and how, that's when you begin to appreciate how bad guys try to compromise these systems. And then you can become a better defender. So I heard Adeolu talk about learning the operating systems, Linux, Windows, networks, protocols, and all that. So that's a good place to start. But that's not discouraging anybody that wants to jump into cybersecurity right away. Okay, you can actually learn in parallel as you're moving. But I found that it was much easier for me to get onto cybersecurity when, with the background I had from all the system support and networking that I had done over the years. So yes, that is a good step in acquiring the technology skills that is required. But then, as I highlight in my presentation, we sometimes tend to focus a lot on the technical skills. But as many cybersecurity managers will tell you, there are soft skills that are really, really fundamental to becoming a great cybersecurity professional, right? There are skills that nobody will build for you in a class environment, okay? Skills like curiosity, for instance. A cybersecurity professional has to be a curious person, like he will look into things and, okay, this password that I'm supposed to type only 8 characters. What if I type less than 8? What if I type 200 characters, right? So somehow the person that is doing the coding may not have implemented proper error handling techniques for when somebody overwhelms the password field with lots of characters. And the system could actually crash and let the person in a fail open situation. So inquisitiveness, curiosity, communication skills, you can be the best security person, but if you cannot communicate what you're doing to the business, to management, to the other staff, you will just be an island. Nobody will listen to you, and nobody, nowadays it's increasingly important for the whole staff to be on board with the cybersecurity program. You have a problem, and so on and so forth. And then one of the most critical qualities, okay, is a strong ethical, a strong personal ethics and moral conviction, right? As cybersecurity professionals, you are going to become powerful. You are going to gain a lot of knowledge that can be used for good or for bad, right? I know the panelists here, with your experience, you would have, sometimes I go to work for people, maybe at the top echelon of the bank, and the kind of things they entrust to you. And maybe you're doing a penetration test or vulnerability assessment. You can see a whole lot. You see places where you can just type a command and money moves from one place to the other. So what do you do with that power? If you don't have morals, a strong ethical standing, grounding, that no matter what comes, no matter the temptation, you're not going to use the knowledge you have for bad. And of course, you see a lot of cybersecurity trainings. And I hope TechQuest's, codifies this in your processes, that the people who you are training, you communicate to them ahead of time that the training they are receiving is for them to purpose. So a strong ethical quality and morality is very, very important for a cybersecurity professional. So these are some of the both technical skills and soft skills. Basically, when one develops this, the person will be a good cybersecurity professional. Thank you.
Was really all right. Thank you very much. That was really well detailed. My next question goes for Mr. Adeoluwa. So we've talked about the trend, how it has been in the past 5 years, where it's going to in the next 5 years. We've also spoken about the how someone that is a non-technical person can move into the cybersecurity sector. So now, how can we advance cybersecurity industry in Nigeria? Because personally, I feel a lot of people still need to be open-minded about it. It's not something that is so known in Nigeria in that sense. So since you've worked in the sector, you have experience, how can we advance the cybersecurity industry in Nigeria, both the technical skills and also the awareness of this? So Mr. Adeoluwa, I have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. I would like to start by saying something that I've seen worked in other locations globally that has driven cybersecurity as a culture, cybersecurity being embedded in the environment or in the nation, as we were. And this entails organizations that are deep into cybersecurity, driving it from the secondary, from the primary, and through the tertiary institutions. It goes a long way. I've seen organizations partnering with universities to let them do research into how you could probably break a particular technology or a particular system. And the university will pay millions of dollars to sponsor such research. I've seen instances where a friend is doing a research in the university, a particular apparatus that the institution or the organization sponsored got broken, and that apparatus is worth more than 200 million naira. And the organization still paid for another one. So far is able to research into this area, and they're able to break new frontiers. The sponsoring organization did not really mind. At the end of the day, it was able to conclude the research, and the technology was patented in the country where it concluded the research. So these are nations that are willing to go firm. If the national body or the government of the country is not delving into that aspect, we could have private sector with coming in partnership with institutions like TechQuest in driving such initiative, right from the primary through to the secondary and up to the university. If a child from the primary stage has already gone through basic things, understands how to use system, how to go through operating systems, how to maneuver network, by the time he's getting to secondary, he understands how to code to some extent. By the time he's getting to university, he understands the circuitry of systems. Believe you me, one of the comments that I wanted to add earlier on, that the nearest future, technology will get to the point, cybersecurity will get to the point where you have to be looking at embedded security. Embedded security, because we are looking at IoT these days. Yes, we could have the regular security in the real sense of it, that one going into cloud and those other aspects. But you will have a smartwatch being connected to your laptop, that smartwatch being synced with your internet connection at home. The moment that smartwatch is compromised or your smart television is compromised, that is embedded security. Your network at home could be compromised. Your official laptop could be compromised. From there, it could escalate into the organization in the real sense of it. So embedded security is now becoming a major concern, and it's evolving over time. You could get a car being hacked as it were today. So these are things that if the nation could grow or metamorphosize from what we have currently to the point where right from the primary, it's entrenched in the educational system, not just you learning ABC 1, 2, 3, regular mathematics, arithmetics, and what have you. Computer being part of what we teach in the primary institution, secondary institution, not just the basic computer. What is a mouse? This is what a mouse looks like. It has 3 buttons. Or this is, the computer is made of just monitor and keyboard and blah, 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 blah. Advance. Let's move it further. Pardon my humor to some extent, but this is, it's something that pains me to some extent. Then you go to the secondary, a child is already learning about how the system, the directories you have in an operating system, the network devices, they are getting certified right from that kind of age. By the time they get to university, they are already gurus in computer. You now see a country that have cyber security warriors. That is how you can drive it right from the grassroots. And by the time you finish from university, you are ready for the industry. You're already writing codes that will protect systems. You're already developing your own security tools, security solutions, right from that university stage. You have lots of university graduates with projects that has not yet been developed in other parts of the world. Nigeria will become a major factory for cybersecurity genius. That is what I think.
Amazing, amazing. I totally agree with you, Mr. Adeoluwa. I feel learning of even just ordinary codes needs to be taught from the primary session, because so many things are going IT now. Mr. Adesegun, I would also like to ask you this question, because you've worked in diaspora, so you've seen how the sector is in Nigeria and how it is outside Nigeria. So, Mr. Adesegun, how do you advise? How do you think we can advance the cybersecurity industry in Nigeria? You have the floor.
Sorry, before I answer that, I want to add to what Ifeanyi said earlier. I looked at somebody's question here. There are different areas in cybersecurity, and I don't like discouraging people that are not in IT not to come into it. We have 3.2 million deficits in cybersecurity worldwide. I have the statistics. So we need more people. And cybersecurity, there are some soft areas in cybersecurity that you don't need deep technical skills. You have the cyber governance. If you're a lawyer, you can go into privacy, you can go into forensics, you can go into cyber insurance, you can go into developing policies and standards that the technical people must adhere to. So don't see that you have to have that deep technical skills. But like you said, when you start into that, when you get into that, you want to take a step backward and say, well, I'm the one developing this. I want to know the nitty-gritty of how these guys are doing things. And that's how you can work your way back. There's also cybersecurity awareness and training. People that are HR people are coming into cyber security now. They are doing phishing campaign. They are setting up training, online training for cybersecurity specialists. So don't say because you didn't have a degree in computer science or computer engineering, cybersecurity is not for you. You can use your knowledge. Like you said, you need curiosity. And I always tell people, apart from curiosity, you need passion and focus. If you don't have that passion, I'm indebted to one of our former bosses. He's in Canada now. It was the one that told me, he said, Segun, leave that system support and come to networking. I can see that you have passion in IT. So that's what I don't see in kids, especially Nigerian youth of today. They have the internet on their phone. They can't use it to their benefit. We used to go to cyber cafe overnight, 200 naira. I will go and browse overnight, 2001, 2002, for 200 naira just to seek knowledge. Now you carry that phone with internet on you. You are doing Facebook, you are doing Twitter, Instagram. I don't have Twitter account. I don't have TikTok. Twitter account. I don't have Instagram. Even the Facebook I have, I hardly use it. There are lots of things to learn. So in terms of how you can develop cybersecurity, people refer to me as a pessimist when it comes to Nigeria. But look, it's high time we start, especially in Nigeria. The government that we have, sorry to say, apologies. I think we should leave them out of the cybersecurity space for now, because you can only drive what you understand or what you have passion for. So I would say is the private sector that can drive this. In the last 2 months, I have seen countless numbers of Nigerians leaving Nigeria. I'm close to CIOs of banks, and they are telling me that, look, if Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder, a lot of people are leaving the country. Now, a lot of banks, I don't even want to mention their name, like half of their IT personnel have left the country for Canada, Australia, UK. So we are going to be relying on people like you guys that are on this platform to develop your knowledge, to engage, get yourself engaged in whatever TechQuest is teaching you, and to be able to build yourself. I foresee you also within a space of 2-3 years leaving Nigeria, because it's greener. I can tell you it's greener on the other side. I always encourage people, look, move if it's not greener on that side. But before you move, gain that knowledge. When I went to study overseas, I had to come back to Nigeria. A lot of my friends didn't come back. They wanted to stay back. Doing what? And I got a job in a bank in IT. I said, look, let me go for that knowledge. How much was I being paid then? 125,000. But today, I'm better off than them that stayed back. So how we can develop it, let private sector, now the banks are in need. And that's where I'm coming to. They are in need. Organizations are in need of IT personnel. I've seen them driving it better than the government in Nigeria. Overseas here, yes. In fact, there's a lot of funding now for people. Australia is in need of countless number of IT professionals as we are talking. Now, they want to increase their quota, and they are ready to take people from Nigeria. Any country that doesn't harness its potential or make use of its people, all these countries are going to snatch them. Canada is snatching them. UK is snatching them. So if there is funding overseas for people in IT generally, there's no funding. There's no kind of that funding from government. So I would say is the private sector that should drive it. They are the ones that are in need of these skills now. So they should drive it. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Adesegun. I really enjoyed what you just said. Okay, so he said something about cybersecurity being green outside. So I want to ask Mr. Adeoluwa, Mrs. Irene, and Mr. Ifeanyi, how is the sector in Nigeria? Is it also green in Nigeria? So Ms. Irene, is the sector green in Nigeria? Can you hear me?
Okay, yes, I can hear you. Okay, the truth of the matter is that it's green in Nigeria, right?
Okay.
Now, of course, we cannot say, or you might not earn as much as people abroad are because, of course, their currency is better. But I can categorically tell you that I know a lot of cybersecurity engineers here in Nigeria that are earning in dollars. Let's start from there. Secondly, because a lot of people have migrated, just like what Mr. Adesegun talked about, there is now that that's scarcity. Sometime earlier this year, the CEO of one of the biggest IT service providers in Nigeria went to LinkedIn and literally was lamenting. He could not find guys to employ into his company, as in it's that bad. The organization I used to work for, Westcon, at a point in time, all their cybersecurity, I left, everybody left, the entire cybersecurity team moved on to we are still all in Nigeria. We didn't go abroad.
Pastures.
No, but greener pastures within Nigeria.
Yeah, I know.
Until now, they still have not been able to fill up that team. As in, I said the entire team. So now is the time, because the scarcity it's a global scarcity, truth be told. I think there's a name they call it now, the Great Resignation or something. It's a global scarcity, it's not just a Nigerian thing. So even guys are preparing themselves here in Nigeria for global opportunities. I have a friend that her husband just sitting here in Nigeria got a job in the UK. Yeah, they left it. In April, I was yapping her, saying, what are you people doing? You and your husband, you're an IT professional, your husband is an IT professional, and two of you are here in Nigeria. 1 month time, she called me and said her husband has gotten a job with AWS in the UK. And as of July, they were in the UK. That's one. Secondly, I wanted to also speak to what Mr. Shegun was talking about. And that also speaks to one of the questions that came up about, I'm not IT savvy and all the rest. I want to be biased in this case. I'm a woman. See, as a woman, hey, you cannot understand what you enjoy in IT generally, in tech generally, and then in cybersecurity. Scholarships, opportunities are there. Everybody shouting, women in IT, women in tech. Almost every time I open my laptop, there is a scholarship, there is a grant going on, there is organizations willing to take you. In fact, I remember when I got my job at Westcon, my boss that time actually mentioned to me that there was a quota for the organization to employ more women. So if they see 2 CVs, they will give priority to the womanhood. That's the truth of the matter. So if you're a woman here, if you're a lady here, don't say, it seems like it's a guy's thing. See, take advantage of it. I took advantage of it very well. And to the glory of God, it worked out for me. And that's where I am now. When I'm looking for things, I don't know how many certifications I wrote with my money. I don't know. Once I just sit down, I say, okay, I want to write certification. I'll look for where there is a scholarship and I will find.
As a woman,
I have gone as far as applying for a scholarship that was for Australian women. And I got the scholarship and I wrote the certification. That's the truth of the matter. So the opportunities are there. Don't just look down on yourself or worry about being a woman. It's there, is made easier even for you. Now when we also talk about how do we help? I think that in situations like this is where TechQuest comes in. Now, based on my experience, I've been fortunate to work with a lot of IT service manufacturers. We call them OEMs, and there's also always that educational worry for them too, because they know that give a typical example, Cisco knows that for them to be able to sell well in Nigeria, knowledge has to be very, very key, because they don't want their end users to worry about, that's usually one of the biggest worries of end users. You're bringing this solution for me, but I don't know, there's nobody in the entire Nigeria that can deploy it. Do I have to go and worry about employing somebody or bringing in an expert trade? So there's that drive. I know there was a time Cisco was doing that drive in Unilag. Microsoft also does it, in collaboration with some private organizations, so they are educating students even from a university level. So I know even secondary school, I know Microsoft does secondary school. I know Cisco does Unilag. Cisco does universities, and so that's one of the things that organizations, for example, TechQuest in this case, can take advantage of. You guys can go reach out to some of these organizations and say, see, I know you're looking to break into the Nigerian market, and one of the things that we have identified could be a problem would be education. Once you can get the right people educated here, it becomes easier to sell, because I would only talk about what I know, really. That's the truth of the matter. If I know about Cisco, if you call me to say, oh, I'm having a networking problem, and I get there and I meet a Juniper box, more often than not, I'll try to convince you to go and buy a Cisco box, because that is what I can work with. That's the truth of the matter. So that's what organizations can do. Talk to them, oh, how can we do this? And before you can work on any product specific technology, you have to have the industry knowledge. So even before you can work on the Cisco box, you have to understand the concept of networking. You have to understand the concept of routing and switching. So indirectly, they must give you that knowledge too. So TechQuest, maybe that's one of the things that you guys can have in your agenda. Reach out to a lot of these OEMs are out there looking for who they can trust, to push this agenda. If they can get into the market, bring the business to Nigeria, it's better for them. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. So, Irene, I know your hand was up earlier. I don't know if you addressed
that
it.
was much earlier. That was much earlier.
Okay, all right. So we
I've
can
already addressed
see
what I
that.
was raising my hand for.
Okay. All right, thank you. So we can see that the industry is both green in Nigeria and abroad. All right. So we're rounding up now. I want to ask what I just want us. I know we have a final thing we want to talk about. Maybe I have not asked a particular question, and you actually want to say something so that the people, the viewers, the people listening to us can actually learn from the session. So I just want to take final notes. So Mr. Ifeanyi, do you have any final notes that you'd like to drop for listeners and people that have interest in coming into the cybersecurity field? Mr. Ifeanyi, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, so maybe just to clarify my earlier statement about having foreknowledge of how things work, as it will help to become a better cybersecurity person. It doesn't mean that, I'm not saying that if you don't learn, because somebody mentioned in the chat, sorry, there seems to be more background noise where I am. Somebody mentioned in the chat that it would take a long time to learn those things before now going into cybersecurity. So, let that not discourage anybody, right? Most courses, and I'm sure TechQuest's courses will be the same, begin with an introduction into those technologies and things before actually telling you about security for them. And then, like Shegu also said, there are so many fields in cybersecurity that you can decide to take. There are so many specializations, which Shola also mentioned in the chat. So the gap, it's one of the things I included in my presentation. The gap in cyber skills, it keeps widening by the day. And like the other panelists have mentioned, the way European and American companies are sweeping our experts out of Nigeria will tell you that they are really feeling the pinch of lack of cybersecurity skills. So it's an industry desperately in need of professionals. So I want to encourage everybody that is here today that would like to go into the field too. There is nothing that will keep you back. Don't wait for anything. The knowledge is there. It's just for you to apply yourself take some time to learn, and the sky is your limit. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Really appreciate your inputs. Okay, so we're moving on to Mr. Adeoluwa. Any final remarks from us, for us, rather? Mr. Adeoluwa, you have the floor. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity. I would just say that for as many that are willing to venture into the cybersecurity space, it's a big ocean that you have so many areas that you could delve into. You may want to look at the possibility of a particular area being de-emphasized in the nearest future. I'm not saying being torn down completely, but being de-emphasized, and some areas being more emphasized. So while choosing your career path in cybersecurity, you might want to have that in mind at the back of your mind. Some areas might be de-emphasized, just as we have in this current age and time where some aspect of security or some aspect of IT is now being de-emphasized, and some other aspect of IT is more emphasized, which is the aspect of cloud security and physical and cloud computing and physical computing being de-emphasized in this current age and time. So if you're looking at a career in cybersecurity, the aspect that you might be looking at, you need to do a little bit of background check to know this aspect will be emphasized in the nearest future so that you remain relevant and you won't just spend or expend energy in an area that is being downplayed, and put your energy into the area that is more emphasized and will gain traction in the nearest future. The sky is the limit. Even heaven is the limit in cybersecurity. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Really appreciate your input. So, Mrs. Irene, do you have any final input for us?
So what I would say is, see, the opportunities are there. They are everywhere. And even cybersecurity as a field is wide, you know. I know in this our conversation, we've kind of like focused on a small portion of it, but it's wide. You know, we're talking about data protection, mobile security, endpoint security, patch management, vulnerability assessment. It's wide. So there's space for everybody. And even within each facet of security, there are different kind of job roles. You know, I wish I could show you. Currently, where I work, we are employing about 400, and we have about 400 and something vacancies, and across the space. So we're talking cybersecurity evangelists. If you can even just, if you're somebody that can sit and understand a product and preach it, come, we'll take you on. You know, so the opportunities are there. Don't limit yourself. Don't shy away. Even right now, anybody comes to me and say, oh, I don't know what to do. The first response that comes out of my mind is, my dear, go and do IT. Go and do IT. That is the future. That is where the money is. 6 months, just take your time, you know, 6 months, dedicate that 6 months and put in the effort. I can assure you at the end of that 6 months, you'll begin to see viable opportunities, you know, for yourself that can help you grow. And one of the best things I like about the cybersecurity field is the fact that it's continuous growth. You know, you're never redundant, you're never old school, you know, or phased out. You know, every year there's something new, there's a new technology, there's a new development that you have to work on that can make you a better person. You know, so you are always of a value, you know, to yourself and to everybody around you. So keep an open mind, be ready to learn, be a learner, You have to be willing to learn. Nobody's going to push you. That's the truth of the matter. If you want to go far, nobody's going to push you. There are times when you have to make the effort, stand up by yourself, wake up, burn the midnight oil. If you're one of those that believe that, I've graduated from university, now I can rest. Irene, IT is not for you. Cybersecurity is not for you because your learning just started. That's the truth of the matter. But if you can keep an open mind, you know, be ready to learn, I can assure you that, like Mr. Adeoluwa said, in fact, so that there's no place beyond heaven. There is no limit. You'll be so confident in the fact that you can never be stranded. That's the truth. And when I mean stranded with regards to job opportunity, I don't get scared of, oh, they're going to sack me tomorrow. Opportunities are there. Even if I leave, there will be another job waiting for me. That's the level of confidence I currently have. So you will never be stranded. Opportunities will always be there for you. Thank you very much.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you very much, Ms. Irene. Okay, Mr. Adesegun, any final notes for us, please?
I think I have a lot. I have a lot of final notes, and I'm going to break it down.
To have a session.
No. I'll be quick with it.
Okay.
Mr. Adeoluwa and Ifeanyi can bear me witness. In the banks back then, when they want to sack people, we call it tsunami. They don't touch IT. No way. That's, if you are in IT, just be secure that you have a job. So what I always tell people is study, burn midnight candles, speak to that your mobile phone, that Twitter, and that Instagram you are doing on your mobile phone. I used to have a tutorial, one of our seniors back in the university, he used to give us tutorial. He said he likes sleeping, but he looked at his bed one day and said, you, this bed, you are not going to make me fail. And what did he do? He rolled the bed and started sleeping on the floor. He almost made a first class. A lot of us now, we love, the kids of nowadays, we love fast food. You want to start something now and hammer. Look, Rome was not built in a day.
Yeah.
Slow and steady wins the race. Get books. If you can't get books, get online materials. There are a whole lot of online materials, like Mrs. Irene said. Read. Within a space of 6 months, you will see yourself transformed, not to talk of 1 year.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, plan whatever you want to do. I have a presentation. I don't know if I will be able to give it later. Set yourself a goal. In the next 1 year, this is what I want to do. Don't look for money now. I'm telling you, money will come.
Yeah.
Seek knowledge. Money will come. When all my mates were seeking money, I was seeking knowledge. There's no, every 2 years, I've made it a goal that I must have a certification, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I have a whole lot of certifications at the moment. What the certification does is it gives you that step into the door. The HR person that is reviewing your CV is like a robot. Just check if the person has all this, even if you don't have the knowledge. Once you have all that certification, they will invite you for interview and come and sell yourself. So speak to yourself, do a plan, always review your plan. Am I achieving my goal? If I'm not achieving my goal, take a step back, see where you have missed it, get mentors in the environment and who can always speak to your subconscious and ginger you up. And finally, I always tell people, there's the God factor. There's the God factor, which I believe in. As much as you are walking, if you're a Muslim or a Christian, make sure that you are close to your God. There are a lot of opportunities out there. My story will be incomplete without saying that when I was with Diamond Bank, I got a job in Denmark. I was rang up. They called me. They said, can I come for an interview? I said, I can't get money for flight tickets. How much was I earning there? And my wife was schooling abroad. They said, never mind. We are going to buy you flight tickets. That's the first time I took a flight out of Nigeria and I spent 3 or 4 days just to go for an interview in Denmark. And I came back to Nigeria. So those opportunities are out there. Build yourself up and don't look for money now. Seek knowledge. Money is going to come later. Thank you.
Wow. Interesting. Thank you so much, Mr. Adeoluwa. Thank you so much, Mr. Adesegun. Thank you, Mr. Ifeanyi. Thank you, Mrs. Irene. We've enjoyed this session. It was an eye-opening, and we now see the different opportunities that we have in the cybersecurity sector. So moving, okay, that'll be the end of our panel session. Thank you to all our panelists. We really appreciate. Moving on, Mr. Adesegun, he works in Australia at the moment, and we'll be having a session how to position yourself in the international market. And he has already spoken about, and he has emphasized that leave the country. It is very green outside. Well, we've also seen that it's also very green inside. So he'll be talking about how to position yourself in international markets, probably after you're done with your cybersecurity course or degrees or certifications. So, Mr. Adesegun, you'll be giving your talk now. You can
I'm
share your
sorry.
slide.
Let me share my screen, my slide.
Thank you.
Let me know if you can see my slide.
Yes, we can. We can see it,
Okay.
yes.
So I'm going to presentation mode. Can you still see it?
Yes, we can. Yes.
All right. So today I will just, because of my time, I will just briefly speak to the future. I call the younger ones the future of the country or of the world, about how I've been able to weather the storm or maneuver myself within the IT cyber industry, and how also you can also build your career in cybersecurity. There's no hard and fast rule about it, and there's no specific route to get into your destination. We all want to get to a destination, but the route to which you are going to get there will be different from one person to the other. This is a statistics that I got from the ISC Square, which is the International Cybersecurity Consortium, which is the premier. They are the ones that offer the premier cybersecurity certification, CISSP, Cloud Security Service, Cloud Security Service Professional, Security Professional. So this is the statistics of skill shortage worldwide, and I was surprised that Africa wasn't there. Africa's skill shortage would have been enormous. It would have outweighed all these other regions. But you can see as we speak that the skill shortage is there. Don't be surprised why Canada, UK, US, Australia are poaching on our future in Nigeria. And like I always admonish people, get the right skills. If the opportunity comes from overseas, yeah, take it. Even if you want to be coming to Nigeria every three months, you can do it. I was still in Nigeria last month. So if the world is a global village now, there's absolutely nothing you want to do back home that you cannot do, at least in using the cyberspace. So let's do some unveiling. Let's and yeah, this is where I will come up with those areas that you can go into in cybersecurity, irrespective of your background. So like we said earlier, there are different areas or area of focus in cybersecurity where you can specialize. It is so enormous. Even those that are doing physical security, all those guards that you see outside in the banking hall, their manager might be somebody that is cybersecurity conscious, because part of cybersecurity also includes physical security. How do you make sure that nobody gains unauthorized access to your data center? Physical access, that is physical security. How do you make sure that when thieves come into your environment, how are you able to monitor? How are you able to detect when somebody comes? So there are different areas in cybersecurity operations where my former boss belongs to, those that do SOC, and that's where Mrs. Irene also, I think that's where she plays. What do they do in the Security Operations Center? They monitor activities, events, incidents on behalf of companies, so that companies don't need to employ people to be doing it for them. They've outsourced it outside. Systems engineering, cloud security, networking security, these ones need you to have a lot of deep technical experience. Software security also, you code, you do DevOps, you do scripts. Yeah, this is where you belong into. How do you test your scripts, your code, to make sure that there's no bugs in them, to ensure that it follows a secure development life cycle, ensuring that all those phases of your coding, of your software development, you've tested it, you've tested the functionality, you've tested the security aspect of it. Identity and access management. How do you ensure that people that should have the right access only have their, though I am in cybersecurity, I don't have administrative access to system. And I always tell people, I don't need what you don't need access to, don't get it, because you might not be able to manage your access, or you might lose your access to somebody else. So it's better for you not to have it. What you don't need, don't have it. So things like, how do you ensure that people that have left a position, you revoke their access? How do you make sure that people that are logging to your environment externally have two-factor authentication? Things like that. How do you make sure that people identify themselves? How do you ensure that Mr. Ifeanyi is the person that claim that he is the same person that's logging into that system? And a lot of tools are out there now with a lot of policies in place, just to ensure that if they see you logging in Nigeria now, and somebody logging in straight away in UK within 2 hours using a UK IP address, they just block your access. There's no how you can make Nigeria and UK within a space of 2 hours. Those are policies that are used to identify people and giving them access. And the one that is, I always encourage people that don't have cyber background to go into, is cyber governance and compliance. That's where you have your cybersecurity awareness. If you're a journalist, you did journalism, you did art in school, go into training, go into policy development, go into change management. These are process-driven area in cybersecurity. And where do you want to commence? Sorry, are we taking questions now, or when we're done? Because I can see somebody's hand up. I think I would love to take questions as we are going.
When we are done, we will just take.
All right. So where do I commence my journey? If you are not in cybersecurity before, or you are new to the environment, you did your BSc in computer science, you still have to come in as an entry level because you don't have that experience. Despite the fact that I had a master's when I was starting my career, I still came in as an entry level. And that's where I said, look, people of nowadays, they despise days of little beginning. Don't despise the day of little beginning. Get into that entry level. Sit with your bosses. Let them train you. A lot of times, my boss, former boss, can testify, will still be in the office till 8 p.m. If all the branches in Nigeria have not closed, we are not going home, because there might be issues with the network. So from entry level, you can get into the mid-range level, which is the senior analyst. You become an engineer. You leave the analyst role and come in and become an engineer. If you decide to go through the cyber governance and compliance route, you become a consultant or a senior consultant. Then by the time you start getting to the advanced level, that's when you become the architect, the senior advisor, you become a cyber operations manager, or even a chief information security officer. And nowadays, especially overseas, you have your C-suite, you have your CEO, CFO, now you have the chief information security officer. And most times, they either report to the board of directors, or report straight to the CEO, because cyber has come to the forefront. A lot of companies have seen it as a high risk. So they want their board to be aware of what is going on. So how do you do this? Like we said earlier, give yourself a defined target over the next 2 years. I want to achieve this. And that is where the planning is. So I normally use the plan, do, check, act strategy. So you draw up a plan, you break those plans down into activities that you want to do. And after you have done it, you do an audit of it. Check again if you have achieved all your goals. Those ones that you have not achieved, you act upon it. Make sure you go ahead and do it. And it's a cycle. What are your goals? Set SMART goals. SMART goals are be specific. That is the S. Your goals must be measurable. That is the M. The A means that it must be achievable. The R means that it must be realistic. Don't just set a goal that I want to be the president of Nigeria in the next 2 years. It's not realistic because you don't have a political party. You are not even into politics yet. So set realistic goals and also timely goals. A goal that doesn't have a time is not a goal. An open-ended goal is not a goal. Between now and the next 3 months, I want to do this. Those ones are realistic. Those ones are SMART goals. That's a timely goal. So what are the things that I need to do? Get yourself prepared. Undergo training. People like TechQuest's, undergo training with them. Some people, I always tell people, do certifications, even if you have not gotten a job. Because why? There's no how you're going to do certification that you won't learn 1 or 2 things about the technology you are going into, and no knowledge is lost. Network. A lot of the jobs I've gotten outside Nigeria has been through my network. We call it man no man in Nigeria. It is called referral overseas. Somebody refers you for a job, says, oh, I know so person. I can vouch for his capabilities. Take his CV. Not that somebody doesn't know that job. And that's the difference between the referral overseas and man no man in Nigeria. Man no man in Nigeria is, he's my nephew or is my this. Please employ him. That doesn't work here. But is referral here because you can vouch for that person. It's like a reference. I'm giving this person reference. Attend conferences, workshop, get a job in IT, even if you are unpaid. When I did my IT in the university in 400 level, that was 2001, I wasn't getting paid. I was not getting paid over that 6 months. But what did I achieve? Over that 6 months, I learned how I could build a system from scratch. I will go to Otigba in Ikeja, go and buy motherboard, buy casing, buy different things. I will couple a computer. Those were the knowledge I got. And when I got to 500 level, which was my final year, I made money because I was building computers for lecturers and billing them. So if I build a computer, I'm going to get minimum 10,000 naira. As at 2002, 2003, it was a whole lot of money back then. So the check, do an evaluation of the goals you have set in the do. Check them one by one. Have I achieved my goals? Am I tracking in order? What are the gaps that I have in my education? If you did arts before and you want to go into cybersecurity, you might decide to take like a 2 or 3 months crash program with TechQuest or any other, or even online. Identify those gaps, close it. What are the opportunities that are available to me in-house? If you get a job that you're unpaid, volunteer. I'm telling you, nowadays, even in banks, if you are able to go on LinkedIn, I don't see that passion in people again. Go on LinkedIn, look for the CIO of these companies or banks. Tell them that you are ready to volunteer, to come and work free of charge. I'm telling you, when you get in there, they see your skills, they see your passion, they see you are focused. There's no how they won't employ you. And when you've gotten that skills, that's when you can now, after some years, you can now be looking out for other jobs. Can I get a better paying job elsewhere? Do I want to go overseas, or I want to stay back in Nigeria? I'll be doing remote work for companies overseas, which is the act. You've looked at all the gaps, plug them, fix them, get certifications as you progress. Any field you want to go into or you want to major in, look for the premier certification there, do it. Have a mentor in the field and look for opportunities all over the world. There are opportunities everywhere. I told somebody sometimes back, I used to have a junior colleague in GTB. The guy left GTB and got a job in Tanzania. Tanzania is in Africa. It's not overseas. This guy left a job in GTB of 9 million and went to Tanzania for a job of $170,000 per annum. Nobody knew about the job. The internet, all of us have internet. What are you using that internet for? That's what marks the difference between you and the other guys. So, all said and done, I just want to show you this, which I would say is that's how my journey has been from my MSc. You'll see that since I came to Australia in 2014, up to date, I have changed jobs 8 times. I was not sacked on any of the jobs. I was the one that was changing the jobs myself. When I get a better opportunity, not necessarily money, it might be the role, it might be opportunity to work from home. This my second to the last job, which is here, which is with Vestas, a wind technology. With wind technology, we use wind turbines to generate electricity. I was working from home permanently, and that was one of the reasons why I took that job. So for almost 3 years, I was working from home. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's because of money that you have to jump around. If you're a woman and you have kids, you can decide to get a job that allows you to drop your kids at school, pick them up in the afternoon, have more time with your family. So those should be your driving force. So this has been the road to where I am today. And you will see the ones in orange are the certifications I was getting along the line, or either attending conferences. I even forgot to put one here when I was around here, when I was no, that was okay. Yeah, I put it when I was with Siemens. I told, and also I tell people, nobody is going to train you. I think Mrs. Irene said it. You have to train yourself. I'll get training, submit it as a proposal to my boss. My boss saw that I was proactive. I'll look at the training. Well, then in Denmark, when I wanted to do my CISSP, it cost $10,000 equivalent to do it in Denmark. And I wanted to go to US. And I got the same training in US, including flights, everything, for $7,000. No boss will see that. I did a position paper, like a justification, that if I do it in US, I'm saving the company 3,000. If I stay back home here, I'm going to spend 3,000 more. And automatically he approved that I go overseas to do the training. So those are the kind of things that you should do along the line. You will get your feet in. At that I am certain about, if you don't lose focus. But when you get your feet in, don't rest on your oars. Always quest to be a better person. Get people also to mentor. I mentor a whole lot of people. I get a lot of messages from Nigeria on career path and things like that. It's only when I see that you are on serious that I just switch off. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm ready to take questions. I hope I've not taken our time.
Wow. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Adeoluwa, for that session. Really
Mr.
appreciate it.
Adeyemo. Mr. Adeyemo.
Sorry,
Mhm.
I really apologize about that. I want to ask, can we have access to this slide so that we can share?
Yeah, sure. Sure.
Okay. All right. So everybody will get the slide and will forward the slide to your mails. All right. So questions. If you have questions, just raise up your hand in the comments, and we'll reach out to you. Okay, Alabi Ezekiel has a question. Alabi Ezekiel, can you hear me?
Hello. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Are you hearing me? Hello.
Yes.
Are you hearing me?
Hey.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I joined the class late actually, but I love our instructor facilitators the way he's talking about the cybersecurity. Somebody like me, I read the computer engineering, but I did one online course called network security. So I just did like 3 months, but since that time I stopped it. But I did cybersecurity now. Am I going to start from scratch? That's first one. And then if I want to do it, is it online and how much the thing will cost me? Hello? Hello?
Hello. Yeah.
Did you hear me, sir?
Yes, I heard you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. It's good that you have a background in IT, and hello.
I'm hearing you, sir.
Yeah, it's good that you have a
Hello?
background in. Yes, it's good that you have a background in IT. I spoke about passion the other time.
Yeah.
It's not sufficient for you to do a training online. What have you been able to do afterward? And apart from doing online training, what have you been able to do on the practical side of things? I don't know how much trainings will cost. I think somebody has hacked into our system.